Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the link. This is a platform where we are about building healthy relationships, and I thank you for joining for the discussion tonight, which is a very important topic and a very interesting one, titled Avoiding Swindlers in Relationships. So we'll be all interacting together, and I'm hoping that all of us would speak at one point or the other and contribute to this topic. Okay, so who is going to start off for us by defining who a swindler is? Do you mind if we just all mute ourselves? Thank you. So unless we are speaking, please mute yourself. Okay, so I don't want to be calling names. I would like us to be raising our hands if possible, using the icon. So who would we define as a swindler? I would define a swindler as a fraudster. That would be my definition of a fraud of a swindler. Does anyone have a better definition? Anybody? I don't want to be calling names.
Yes.
Okay, Ma, do you have another definition?
I didn't hear the former one.
A fraudster. A fraudster.
Someone who gets things dishonestly. It can be money, by deceiving or cheating people.
Yes, thank you. That's a very explicit definition. So the next question would be, how do we recognize a swindler? Or have we been swindled before? Has anyone been swindled before? Okay, Sheon Olorunfemi is saying a swindler is basically anyone who cons others of things with a promise of more. Yes. So a swindler comes under the pretext of deceit and tries to con a person. Yes. So has anyone been swindled before? Do you have any examples of being swindled in the past? Anybody want to share with us? A scammer. I think that's a Mr. Oladile Shitu. Yes, a scammer. A swindler is a scammer. So what does a swindler look like? Can anyone tell us, what does a swindler look like? I would like everyone to speak at some point. Yes?
Sometimes swindler look as if they want you, but in the process is lie. They want
Come again, ma. The network is a bit poor. Come again, ma.
I said, can do they want to help you.
Okay.
They can pretend or look as if they want to help you.
Okay.
But
it's
a lie. Is in the process of helping you, their main motive is to cheat you, to deceive you.
Yeah.
Without you knowing. In most cases, it can be in form of even friend. They may be doing as if they are good friends to you, without you knowing that they are similar.
Yes.
And that's careful.
Yes. I've had an experience with a swindler, and the person promised to deliver some goods to my people at home. but came with substandard materials. And the person also wanted to do business with me and ran away with the money. So the person is a swindler. The person was also coming with a promise of a relationship at the time. So the person is a swindler, but the person did not have plans. Someone says they are easy to spot. Are they easy to spot? Not really. Only a very bad one is easy to spot. A very good one. Let me read that comment.
Okay, can I talk?
Yes, you may.
Good evening, everyone. So I would say a swindler has one characteristic, and that is someone who comes with something that appeals to your interest.
Yes.
You need to know, one of the ways I know a swindler is someone that is not within my plan, that just come to me with things that he believes or she believes I have interest in. Number one, I want to give attention. Number two, to really know a swindler is someone who has perfected his ways and who have mastered his leverage opportunities. The Bible said only the spirit of a man, knows what is in the mind of the man. Just like in that Ephesians, I think 6:26 or so, when it was talking about the Spirit of God, knows what the mind of the Father is. So the Bible says only they that are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. In other words, when someone comes with something of interest to you, and then one other characteristics of a swindler is that it makes it very urgent and time-bound.
Okay.
So that you will have a sense that you are going to lose that opportunity if you fail to jump on board at that very moment. And then if you are not someone who has personal principles guiding your life and whose God is not at the center of your decision making, you will easily fall a prey to a swindler. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you. So you've brought out some points that I would be talking about shortly. So I had asked the question that how does a swindler look? It could be male, they could be female. They are not easy to spot, and only a bad one is easy to spot, says Dr. Olorunfemi. A very good one is very difficult to spot, as they have learned to work on themselves and live the lie as long as possible till the deed is done, and then nothing can be done. Thank you, Mr. Alonge, for those points that you have raised. So you've raised a point about the sense of urgency that comes with a swindler, the apps with what a swindler is bringing. And I don't know, for some reason, I'm thinking about MMM, those swindlers, even though they are like an organization. But of course, the focus for today is relationships in particular. But those are the kind of people that we're also talking about. They say, if you don't do it now, this opportunity is gone. And that is how you will know a swindler. They don't allow you to be patient, to think about your decisions, to brood over your decisions and make an informed decision before you jump into it. So that would be one of the characteristics of swindlers. Thank you for those points. Does anyone want to tell us about what a swindler can do? Swindling is the work Yahoo boys do. Yes, that's true. Yes, that's true. So I have a story, and you would be able to point out who the swindler was in this story by the time I'm done with the story. And it's a true life story, this particular story. So in this story, there's a gentleman and there's a lady. The lady is a wealthy lady, a hard worker, and then the gentleman he also works. But the gentleman has come along with the promise of marriage. Now, this could be either way. It could be the lady, it could be the man. But in this story, because the man is not that financially buoyant, the lady begins to take on his responsibility, and the man sorry again, my network keeps throwing me out. Sorry, my network keeps throwing me out of the meeting. Sorry. I'm back. So she gives in and they get married, but then he always wants to get money from her without carrying out his responsibilities. So that by the time it got to a point, he'll be able to start bringing things to support the household, but he's not intending to do that. Instead, he has decided that he would secretly start sending money to his brothers that are in another country and start supporting them without the knowledge of his wife. So this is what he does. And then next thing, the lady says, oh, she would like to buy a house. And he says, no, she cannot buy a house. She wants to buy it with her money. But he says, no, she cannot buy a house. And that instead, she should bring the money because he wants to use the money to go and further his education. So in the end, it becomes clear that the person is in it just to be taking and taking and taking and taking. And that's an example of a swindler. He had come with an appeal of marriage. And what else can we get from this story regarding this person? I think it's clear who the swindler might be in this setting. I will tell another story that will appeal to the men. But this one, I think it's clear who the swindler might be. Anybody want to comment on this story? Kindly unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
This is very straightforward, but I would say one thing that's quite easy to see. Sometimes in the desperation, which I already typed somewhere, there are some things to gloss over. If you see a hardworking person, you always know this person hardworking. The person may not be lucky in terms of what's coming to the table, but you can say this person is working out and having a trajectory that if person continues, the luck may turn. But somebody that is really just going through the phase, okay, the emotions of I go to work and I don't do anything, you will spot it as soon as possible. But majorly because of the kind of society we live in, there is a pass mark, let's put it as a way, that this person is married now. And when that is ticked, is a success story for either a male or a female. A particular age of marriage is pass mark. So we quickly want to get that pass mark or that tick. And we close our eyes to those things. And by the time we are opening our eyes to it, you always say, oh, how did I forget about these things? How did I close my eyes when it was happening? So in this case, for example, now, was it a swindle? I would say not really.
Okay.
Because if the person had done other things in terms of collecting and doing things to ruin, that would be a swindle. This man was a lazy man that wanted the benefits of two without working as two. Just wanted the other person to provide and him sit down and get the benefit of that provision without actually doing anything at all. That's the lazy man.
Okay. So you think he's a lazy man, he's not a swindler?
Basically a lazy man. Yeah, that's what I'll put. Because if it was swindle, the person would leave the other person in a wreck.
Okay.
Total wreck. That's the part of the swindle. You know, there are plenty stories of swindle on social media right now. There's even one on Netflix.
Hello.
That is.
You said there's one on Netflix.
Yeah. I can't remember something Swindler. I can't remember the name of the app now. There's a app that's called Swindler. Tinder Swindler. Tinder Swindler, something like that.
Okay. Okay, Tinder is an app, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. I think Mommy Aidu wanted to say something. Mommy Aidu, do you want to say something?
Yes, in that story, I would think that the lady did not have enough patience to study the type of man he wants to marry.
Okay. Okay.
One can see that the man is covetous. And somebody that is covetous
Hello, ma. We are listening.
Look like network is throwing everybody one way or the other today.
Yes, including myself. Hello, ma. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
I've finished.
Okay, we didn't hear the last bit. We didn't hear the last bit of what you said, ma.
I can't remember again. Okay, tell me where you are from.
You said the man is covetous. That's where we heard you last.
And I said that is covetous can cheat. And that is one of the characteristics of a swindler. They always want something that they don't work for or something that don't belong to them. They always want to be at an advantage of the other person. So we can as well say he's a swindler, even though the wife did not know due to lack of patience that brought them together.
Okay. Now, there was another gentleman. He is the one that works a lot and has very financially stable, very financially buoyant. And he has met this beautiful young lady who goes to school. He takes over her expenses, pays for her house. She says she wants to go to a school, pays £10,000 for her to go to the school. And then she says they should get married as soon as possible. He says he would think about it. She says she wants a diamond ring. He buys it for her. So they are engaged. Let's put it that way. But in the midst of all of this, he doesn't have rest of mind. But he doesn't know why he doesn't have rest of mind about the lady. And sometimes she does some things, but he would make excuses for her that because she's young, because she's much younger than him, that because she's young, that's why she's done those kind of things. She wanted to buy a wig. The wig was so expensive. He said, how can you buy this wig that is so expensive? She said she would take a cheaper one, but she just took one that was £500 less than the one she picked initially. He paid for it because he could afford it. She wanted to go on holiday. He sponsored her holiday, even going for the holiday with her, everything. So he's only investing in the relationship with this lady. However, at some point, he decides to give her a surprise visit and then realizes that she has another person in the picture, and ends the relationship with this lady. So who is able to comment about this story? Who is the swindler in this story?
Now, this is clearly a swindle case.
Okay.
She already had somebody. See, that's where the difference is, isn't it now? She already had somebody that she was committed to and used the other man to get everything she wanted, and also possibly also supported the person that she was with. Just getting money from this one. This is where, like I said now, desperation and my message, desperation and beauty. The man was, okay, I needed something in my life. I'm desperate to get it as much as possible. I'll do everything possible to get it. She looked at it and said, this opportunity for me to get something rich in life. And I will, on that basis, hide every other fact about me with the promise of relationship to this man. So we said from the beginning, so there was a promise in a swindle case, and the promise not fulfilled. So she swindled this man, obviously. And the man was having an inkling about this is what's happening, but he didn't want to push his luck too much. Possibly because I've not seen a beauty. If I lose this beautiful girl, what about it for me? So possibly just kept this at that beautiful girl in my hands. I will not lose this one. That is the man's was name. So until it got to the point that let me see this thing I've committed, I've invested in. Yeah, let's put that we invested in. Let me see how it is right now. And that's when he went out to see what she had put his money in. And so this is not what I wanted. And he broke it up. Luckily for him, I'm almost sure that what I have spent, even though it's much, if he converts, I don't try to convert anyway. Even at that level, even for them, that converting £10,000 is a lot of money, because how many people make that amount of money in a year? Free of, I can push it off, you push it out like that. So I've been swindled totally. There's some. Can I hear me? Hello?
Thank you for your contribution,
So, you're back.
Mr. Olorunfemi. Sorry,
So
the network.
okay. Okay. There was something even before I even talked about this case, I was there's something that came to my mind. The book Blink by what's his name? Malcolm Gladwell. From the beginning, he said an expert at something, when you see a particular item or something in your mind tells you that there's something wrong with this. You might not be able to pin it exactly what is wrong with it. But with greater scrutiny, you're able to find out what was wrong. So this guy possibly already knew that there was something wrong with the relationship, but he wasn't sure what exactly it was, but he just wanted to give it benefit of doubt, which is what you give in relationship anyway. And until his doubt was really, really getting too worrisome, that's when he went and this is actually what is wrong with it. He knew, but just wanted to give the benefit of doubt. I think that was what I was looking at over here. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I think there might be some characteristics that we might be able to recognize about a swindler, which is very important. Can anyone tell us these characteristics that we've mentioned already, that we might be able to notice about a swindler from afar? Anybody? Maggie, let's hear your voice. So, Dr. Ogunlade, let's hear your voice. Maggie, what do you have to say on this matter?
I believe that I mean, if I want to take this man as a, for example, like he probably for him to pay this woman a surprise visit, probably there's something that was probably, you know, that was giving him doubts in his mind to even take that step. I don't know. I'm just thinking. So in terms of characteristics of a swindler, if we want to, I think they're usually a bit demanding. They have this selfish nature because they have an aim that they want to get. So they will have this selfish attitude where it's only about them most of the time. Like, I want this, I want that. They're not even bothering, you know, how things are for you and things like that. So more they're selfish in nature, demanding, and because of course there's something they want to get out of it, so as much as possible, that's their focus anyway. They don't care much about you as a person in terms of your life and progress, especially because if they see you as a maybe potential partner or somebody that, you know, if they have that if they really care about you, you know, they should be thinking about you know, how do we progress together, not like how am I progressing alone, you know. I think it all boils down to selfishness in a way. And they're not, what is quite obvious, they're not very honest people, and they're not straightforward. They always tell you things that, you know, they'll create doubts in your mind.
Don't add up.
Yeah.
They say don't add up.
Yeah, and they're very secretive because of course they don't want you to know as much as about them because they have their ulterior motive anyway. So the less you know about the better for them.
Yes.
And I think for swindlers, like talking about not wanting people to know about them. So in terms, if I said the relationship stage, they won't let you know. They don't want you to know their family or friends because they feel like you might one way or the other find out things about them that would be suggestive of who they really are. So and they're not really sometimes interested in even getting to know your own family or what's happening with you. Yeah, so let me give opportunity for others to talk.
Thank you. You said a lot, which is really good. Thank you so much for that. I see that there are some comments in the chat box. Dr. Adero just says the swindles suffer a lot of heartaches, and self-love can protect against being swindled. Do you want to shed some more light on that, Dr. Adero, this issue of self-love? Self-love protecting against being swindled.
Yeah, my thinking is that even when you try to sacrifice for people and you are genuine in sacrificing for people, you would tend to know the limit to which you should do it. If you really love yourself, you will not try to sacrifice for people at the expense of your own health and well-being. So with that, it will limit the way to which somebody that plans from outside to swindle you to succeed, it will really limit it a lot. And because maybe it's what you have that you will give now. Yes. So you won't go and borrow money or try to impress somebody and then the person swindles you. No, no. So, and even when you have, and the person, like somebody already said, there is this issue of people that swindles always wanting to get and not willing to give.
Yeah.
And so the moment you start noticing that attitude, something you will start questioning you about your giving to.
Yeah.
So and that is why, I've seen relationships where one person was just sacrificing and sacrificing and sacrificing, and the other was just there receiving. It's not neat. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. It should be going both ways. And whatever one is willing to receive, you must be willing to also give. So, and when you see a tendency that the other person never wish to give anything, he will give an excuse not to give. It's a big red flag.
Yes.
Very big flag. So that's why I felt when you really love yourself and you suffer less heartache and get swindled by somebody who is out to swindle.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you. Self-love. So you have to love yourself and love yourself enough not to be swindled. From what Dr. Adiro just don't give in to swindlers. Mr. Oshopale says swindlers are not straightforward and very demanding. They could have a sharp memory, yet they are inconsistent. Yes, that's the meaning of them being not straightforward. Yes, Dr. Maggie Adewe, let's hear you again.
This issue of self-love, self-esteem is very important. I think people who are vulnerable to swindlers are people, if you look at them, they do have no self-esteem or self-love because, I totally agree with you. First of all, you need to love yourself and know your worth. Yeah. And you need to be in a healed position. Some of these people have I don't know, maybe you've had bad experiences in relationships and they have not properly healed, So if you're broken yourself, you lack self-love. So anybody that comes your way, and disrespects you, or because you don't love yourself, you just accept certain things that you shouldn't accept if you know your self-worth and if you love yourself in the first place. And the examples you gave, probably like the man giving excuse, that probably trying not to look for any, see the positive rather than saying, I shouldn't be taking this, this is my word, I should be valued, those questions that you should be having. If you love yourself, if you value yourself, if your self-esteem is at the right place, I think, these people that have been vulnerable are in that position where their self-esteem itself is an issue, or self-love is an issue. And if they don't love themselves, or if they don't work on their self-esteem, they'll continue to be vulnerable to this kind of people, unfortunately.
Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you. So there's an issue about being vulnerable, especially for those that get swindled. So either they are vulnerable because they are in a particular phase of their lives, or because they've gone through a bad experience has made them vulnerable, or they are vulnerable because they lack financial resources. That's why they can be swindled by Ponzi schemes. So they're vulnerable in some way. So let's guard against vulnerability. So we have to be able to recognize when we are vulnerable, so that we can get out of that phase of vulnerability and then love ourselves the way we should be loved. And then we'll also be able to accept the kind of love that we should accept, and not just take things that we shouldn't take. And then you have people who are just squeezing us dry, who are just takers and are not pouring into us as well. And so we recognize people like that faster if we are not in a vulnerable state. Yes, Dr. Olorunfemi, let's hear you.
Okay, for what you have discussed now, I totally accept self-love. But I also understand that two things that we must do in a relationship, and most relationships, whether we like it or not, are unequal. And they will never be equal at any point in time. That's why I like what Michelle Obama said at the point in time, that when they started a relationship, she was bringing some amount of responsibility. Obama was doing this one. At the point in time, it was changing. There was never 50, and it can now be 50-50 because of the kind of schedule individuals are going to have. So in a relationship, there's always this element of sacrifice. But if one person is doing all the sacrifice, you have to ask yourself, what am I sacrificing for? At what point in time, even in the marriage relationship, because marriage relationship is, we are before marriage and after marriage. Even in marriage, what am I sacrificing for in that marriage? Always ask yourself. If you're not giving all the time, always ask yourself, what is the premise for my giving? Even though it's necessary for you to give in a marriage or relationship. Then that vulnerability part, even though people said it's necessary in relationship, I for once have always said is not the most important thing. Yes, you allow us to be vulnerable because that's the only way you can have the emotional feeling for the other person. But if you make it the key part of any relationship, most likely, or the problem otherwise, you will be swindled. I have an example of swindling. It's a real life story. Since nobody knows the person, she's on this, I will say it. When I was working in a particular part of Nigeria.
Yeah, on YouTube though. I hope you know.
That's what I mean. I was working in a particular part of Nigeria. I met somebody that was always, what she wanted at the point that it was, if I get married, all my problems are solved. So virtually every man that comes to her that gets close was a potential relationship. And because of that, she made herself available physically. So I've said it I've said what I wanted to say without saying anything. And while I was with that part of Nigeria, I know how many times she got the fruits of physical activities. And how many times she had to visit the facilities to ensure that that fruit was defruited.
Right.
And she got to a sense that this is me. And I have to give myself some amount of respect. That's when she started giving herself the very best benefit of what I was telling her. And within a number of years, she was able to get education, which she never thought she was going to get. She was able to liberate herself. Today, that thing she was praying, he was looking for, came without praying for it. Because of that self-awareness she gives to herself, that self-love she gives to herself at the point in time. But when you tell people nowadays, they'll say it's not important. That's the most important thing. That's why I said initially that checking that box of marriage have been say key to our entire society. And that's at the point you have to get to the point that even though it's necessary for us to do it, should it be the only thing that we measure ourselves by? Because I've seen many of our relationships today now that one person is giving virtually everything and everybody says continuing giving because that's the essence of the marriage or the relationship. And the person's almost dying. Even though it's not being swing, but it's almost dying out of giving and out of sacrificing. So I just wanted to put that into context also. There's always a part for the swindler to use that emotional and that part of we must sacrifice and we must give ourselves vulnerable to the other person. Thank you.
Thank you. I think especially in relationships, there's a tendency to use love as an appeal to swindle. Because you know you love me now, but I love you now. Why won't you do this? Why won't you do that? And if you're in love with somebody, you should be able to say no to the person. Everything doesn't have to be yes all the time. One has to practice being able to say no at different times in one's life. Otherwise, one would get into trouble with swindlers because they would find something that would appeal to you at some point or the other. Yes, Michael, your hand is up. Let's hear you. Let's hear you. Michael, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. I really love this topic, and I want to thank Sister Temitope for giving me the opportunity to talk. And I only commend I commend people that have been spoken, that have been contributing since. I really appreciate everyone. I pick every point. I pick point from everyone's perspective. And I want us to remember this. You know, nobody in life, sometimes nobody pray to be a swindler, which I didn't pray anybody should be a swindler. You know, sometimes some people might not be they might not be a swindler. Like let me cite an example. Okay, like that man, the first story that started narrated. You know, I realized that there is one man, you know, similar to that story. There's a story that is similar to that story. There's a man. He was jobless and he got married to a lady that worked. I don't know where she works, but she was well paid. So the man was jobless for more than 5 years, and the man was not just sitting down at home. He was going out there to go and look for work. You know, the woman, she was the person taking care of the house, everything, footing the bills. So at a point, when God eventually answered the prayer of that man, the guy, you know, got a good work with, I think, one oil company. So the first car that was given to the guy, official car, he gave it to his wife. You know, that is another aspect of life. Why some people, you know, it's just that we should pray for to God that God should give us the right people around us, because I believe that person, that man that collected that money from that wife and started, you know, using it, diverting the money for selfish reasons or to his own pockets. That man is a selfish being. So, what makes people to feel somebody is a swindler is attitude, like that man, what he does, but he's not a swindler. Like that man said, he wasn't a swindler. He's a greedy person. It's not as if he wrecked the woman. He's a greedy person. So we should always pray that God should bring the right people on our way. And mind you, sometimes just because we don't want to be swindled, we take people as liars. Like, for example, let's look at it from this angle. People that commit suicide. Some people are not swindlers. Like, they might want to, just because we don't want to be swindled, don't want to be duped, we ignore some people. And meanwhile, from there, their life can be taken. They can commit suicide, or maybe what they needed at that point has to do with life and death. So just because we don't want to be swindled, we don't want to be fraud, we just ignore them, and that could lead to death. So I want us to be very careful. So that is my own point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know whether anyone has any comments about this that we have. I think we haven't taken comments from some people. Let's hear your comments. Uncle Adeni, Dr. Ogunlade, let's hear your voice. Prof. Ayedun, let's hear your voice. Ayo Lagundoye, Dr. Lagundoye, let's hear your voice. Sister Esther, let's hear your voice. Sister Nike, you want to say something?
Hey, I just want to say something small.
Okay,
actually, when I hear about what like swindling, if it is happening between unbelievers, I don't really. I will just be like, well, they don't know God. But when I see it among believers, that's when it gets me really worried. I was talking to one young lady once, and she wasn't married, and she was telling me about a particular guy that was interested in her, and then how she was. Whenever I need credit, I will just call him. He will just send money. When I need this, I will just call him. But you knew you were not going to marry him. You knew in your heart you're not going to marry. So why are you collecting his money? Why are you making him? Why are you giving him false hope? As it gets me, and when I see people who, but the first question I ask you that, are you going to marry? I said, no, I know I'm not going to marry. Why are you collecting this from him? It used to get me really, really angry. I don't know. I get angry when I hear such things because I feel like it is cheating as far as I'm concerned, because you're cheating the other person. And then you are putting the other person through unnecessary emotional whatever, because you are giving him or her a false hope. So when such things happen among unbelievers, I don't mind. But when I see it happen among believers, it actually gets better. And I keep asking myself that, how as in, is it the way we are taught to behave as Christians? Unbelievers can, but it shouldn't be named among believers. But the thing is, it happens more even among believers now. And what really gets me so touchy is because people they don't even feel so remorseful about it. They feel like it's a normal thing. Especially among the married, they feel like, well, since I'm not yet married to you, it's a normal thing to do. It's not normal. So I believe that we as believers, we should be different. And even when the world acts one way, we shouldn't act the same way, because we are of a different make.
Yeah. Because people even swear in the name of God these days sometimes.
Even in the church, exactly. Even inside the church. There was one time I went to Redeem Camp. I went there for a personal retreat, and then I met this guy, very well dressed guy. And then he came to me. He was telling me some stories. He wanted money. I didn't have much on me. So after the least I have, and I said, okay, take this out for $1. And he was saying like, it's not enough. And I was like, my own money, it's not even enough for me. So I was like, oh, this is how this guy will go about for one person to another person, for collecting money inside the Redeem Camp like that, because telling them different stories and collecting money from people. I think we are telling me it's not enough. So when such things happen, like you said, even in the name of God, people swindle one another. So it's uncalled for in the body of Christ.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Permit me to bump in again. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
I think the easiest way to even swindle anybody is the name of God. That is the easiest way. Temi knows very well. From when I was in medical school, I used to say that if anybody comes and tells me God has said I'm going to chase you away very fast, Not because I don't believe God, but because you are starting on the wrong foot. If I was a female, just tell me I like you, and I feel by the grace of God we can go together. But when God has said, mean that you should shut your brain down and allow whatever God has said to be the most important thing. Of course, Temi, you know, my roomie's brother.
Yes.
And you know what happened to him in the name of God.
I'm not sure.
So in the name of God, some things happened to him and he wasted almost like 7 years of his life in the name of God. It was easy to do. God has said, do this for me, do this for me, do this for me. And it happened. That's even, I'm not saying the relationship is a man-to-man relationship. So let us remove male-female relationship now. Man-man relationship in the name of God. And he lost 7 years of his active life doing something that wasn't so, even though it was God's work, but it was tangential to the aspect of his life he was supposed to have been living. God's work, seriously. So the easiest way, let's even remove money. The easiest way to swindle anybody till tomorrow is the name of God. And we see it in Nigeria till tomorrow. We'll continue to see it. God is not a God that says you shut down your thinking faculties, which is what many of the men of God are telling us to do when they put the name of God. So God says think. And when you think, you can always use that think and the knowledge of God to decipher and to tell you this spirit is not of God.
Yes, to discern. That's why we have
spirit
to
is
know
not
God.
Of God.
Discern for ourselves. Know God for yourself. Otherwise, you'll be swindled. Because anybody can mislead you. Yes, you're right. Thank you. I wanted to bring up something, and that is that don't be too quick to declare your assets in a relationship, because sometimes that can be a point that attracts a swindler. So if you are always talking about what you have and things like that, very too soon, some people might be attracted and then think that you might be an easy prey to be swindled. So don't be too quick to speak. Be slow to speak, be quick to hear. That's what the Bible says.
What if you know that, okay, this person is probably your fiancé? Should you declare your assets?
Well, you can decide to declare, depending on the kind of person that you are involved with. Because you can want to marry somebody and the person might be someone that talks a lot. So you might not even want to say everything at that time. So maybe
why I asked is because I read the story of a lady who didn't declare her asset to her husband, even at the point of marriage. She didn't. And then when after they got married, the man began to misbehave and was treating her like I'm the one that is doing everything. I'm the one. And then and this lady was thinkingly rich, as in she has massive assets. Yes, she pretended like she didn't have anything. Probably because she felt, okay, let me know the kind of man you are before I put my whole heart on you. But unfortunately, the guy actually seriously misbehaved to the point of not giving her money at home, thinking that she was going to stab her. And then this lady has restaurants in over half of the country. Big ones. So when she realized that she's still eating good food, she thought, oh, we are sleeping with men, Abby. That's why I get money to buy food. And then when the man eventually served her a divorce paper, she didn't say anything. And then she went ahead, bought the company that the husband was working on. Until she appeared there as the owner of the company. That was when the man knew that he wasn't so. But at the beginning, I felt, okay, why would you get married to somebody and not be open to the person? Do you get
it? Sometimes it's from previous experience. Or sometimes some people can think that they are vulnerable. I wouldn't be able to speak unless it's an individual case, because people know why they do what they do. Yes. So I cannot categorically say she was right or she was wrong, because in the end, you can now see that she was right. Maybe for some reason, but under normal circumstances, you expect people that are in a relationship to be open with each other regarding what they have under normal circumstances. Yeah.
Question.
But of course, most people that are very rich don't want you to know that they are very rich. They will actually behave very poor because they know that
Yeah,
if you
especially a
know the
woman.
extent of their wealth, that you might be scared. You have a question.
Yes, sorry.
Hold on. Before we take your question, let's
Okay, somebody wanted to ask us. Somebody wanted to talk. Let me wait for the person.
Yes, because you had your go. Daddy
Hello.
Prof, let's hear you. Yes, sir.
My little comment is basically about in a relationship, we must learn to study and trust one another.
Yeah.
Whether you declare your asset or you don't, whether you declare your asset or you don't, your partner will assess you. So your partner will know virtually your worth. But if you are sincere with each other, you'll be able to deal with each other the right way. In the link, you say, shine your eyes. You have to shine your eyes very well so that you look at the relationship you are trying to build and build it on the right basis. If I'm relating with somebody and I'm being sincere to the person and the person is not being sincere to me, I will know. And I will cut such a relationship. I will cut it out. So it's very important. You are prayerful, you are a child of God. You must shine your eyes.
Be discerning.
You must be discerning. God has given you wisdom to be able to study situations and learn about the person you are moving with. If I want to commit my life, the rest of my life with somebody, definitely I need to study that person very well.
Yes.
It's not a situation where you say, because the man hasn't got a job, let me endure him for the next 4 or 5 years until he gets a job. No, you don't build relationship on such basis. So we have to be careful. We do it the way of God, and we do it with our complete senses. If you need advice, seek advice, either from your very good friends whom you know will not deceive you. They will give you the right type of advice. So I think that's just some little comments I want to give. We should avoid swindlers, and you can avoid them when you are able to spot them at the right time.
Yes.
Before they swindle you.
Yes.
If you assess them at the right time, you'll be able to know, no. I can't continue the relationship with this one. You cut it off. Okay? You don't, because of certain feelings, say, let me continue. By the time you continue and you continue, you may already find yourself in some serious problems and issues. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I can see Dr. Ayolagunde's question. He says, is this not deception on her part? I don't know whether anyone wants to answer that.
Thank you. That was my question, first of all.
Okay.
Is deception not part of swindling? Because
did she swindle him? Did she swindle him?
Not really. Like I said,
no,
we're
she
not
didn't.
there. Wait, she didn't. No, she didn't swindle him, but she deceived the guy to an extent. Because that deceptive part is not what
she kept quiet about a part of her life. She didn't tell a lie, but she didn't tell him the whole truth about her assets.
And I want to believe she must have noticed something. To have
she had not proven him. I don't think she had proven him.
Far.
Yeah,
if I can trust you, then I can open up to you. Okay, see, this is what I have.
Okay, this is where I was going to now. Remember that she said that look at the guy was doing almost everything in relationship. At what level do you ask yourself in a relationship that this thing I'm doing almost all, and when do I cut off from doing almost all? Because I think that's where the guy was at that point in time. Even though I don't know if she was somebody that was very inquisitive, what's the name? making so much request of the man at that point in time. But look at from what he said, she kept quiet about what she had, living like a poor person, which is to me is very, very wonderful. Don't live your life looking at you have very rich, many things. Live it as much as modest as possible, which is how many of us were raised. It's not happening nowadays anyway. Many of us were raised to be living a modest life despite everything that's around us. Very wonderful. But where you hide as much as possible for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I don't know how long did I really sure that marriage lasted for. And the man was doing virtually everything. And she was just keeping quiet. That is the part I was going to ask question. How long should that deception should have lasted for before it's okay, man, I have this. It might not reveal everything, but a certain portion of it can be revealed. If the man now takes advantage of it, it's where you now say, let me cut you off totally.
But he was already maltreating her, knowing that she did not have an income. That's the thing.
I don't know how long that thing lasted for. Because it gets to a point.
Even if we assume that it lasted 1 year, should you begin to maltreat your spouse because your spouse
that maltreating was actually the problem for her. Now telling her that you Kukuma don't have anything, I don't take doing everything you as in, just talking as if you are nobody, I made you, I'm the one that's doing this. And that's why she was like, okay, fine. If you can do this now, and you felt I have nothing. So even if she revealed everything and she started asking love, the love be based on, it's because of what I have that you're not making you to love me now, Abby.
It is I think it is very difficult for wealthy people to be able to prove people that truly love them. Yes. I think it is a huge problem. It is easier to be able to prove love when you are poor because you already know you don't have anything. So if somebody loves you, the person probably actually really likes you in some way. But if you have something or you have a lot, then it is more difficult to prove. That's why many wealthy people go to such lengths to act poor till they are sure and certain that the people love them for who they are. Dr. Lagde, we are happy to hear you. You can speak.
Oh, sorry. I had a lot of issues with my audio. I couldn't speak earlier. I mean, okay. I don't know. As a Christian, I think this example that we gave is I don't think it's an appropriate one at all.
Okay.
I mean, if it's as a non-Christian, maybe we can justify it. This is pure self-deception. And if you're going into something with self-deception, I mean, the end result is already clear. I mean, if you can sacrifice your life, have sexual intercourse with someone, possibly put your life in their hands, have kids for that person, and then you're worried about your riches. It shows where your priorities are. And we don't know the whole story, but I'm really, really concerned, that we're using this as an example. If it's in a secular world, then, we can justify anything. But if you're going into something with self-deception, hoping to hide something, then what's the point of going into it? I mean, the whole concept of sacrifice as a couple is already out of the window. And when we talk about this concept of swindling, I'm a little bit confused because where does that element of giving all? If you say, okay, as a Christian, the Bible says, love your neighbors as yourself, to become one. What's this whole concept of swindling? Because somebody must make a sacrifice more than another. And if someone is going there, okay, let me hide something, I don't trust them. If you don't trust the person that you need to hide property, then you probably shouldn't be with them because you're giving more than that property by giving your life, having intercourse at risk of having children or dying, having diseases. You trust that person, that, you can have unprotected intercourse in the concept of marriage at the risk of whether the person can give the person deadly disease, but you're hiding your money. I mean, where does the priority lie? I think it's not really an example that we should use, quite honestly, in my opinion. I think it's completely, complete great deception. Even according to human law, is a ground for annulling such a relationship if you go with deception in the first place.
It's a risk for her. It's a risk for her. And the end result was that she lost the marriage. She lost the marriage. She saved her riches, which is fine. So we are using it as an example.
Where does the heart lies? Yeah, that's a problem. So maybe the riches are the most important bit to start with.
Yeah, well, yes. Okay. It's a balance of probability. She had decided what was important to her, which you have said.
Yeah, okay. Then what? I was going to say something.
Yeah.
Even though it's totally out of this entirely. For her to have accepted to marry this man, that means there was characteristics she saw of this person that said, yes, this person is possibly responsible enough for me to commit some things to commit my life into his hands. One of the things I always say, even what's name said it also very well. Even though it's not somebody everybody will like, his name is Snoop Dogg. He said, in any relationship, family, friendship, marriage, whatever it is, there's always a gap at the point in time.
Yeah.
For you to close the gap, one person has to come up because the person was the one that was down. If the person up comes down, that means that's that relationship. But the person up is pulling, is the person that's coming up, trying to close the gap as long as possible. That means at the point, both of you have something, shared ambition to be able to get to. Where was the shared ambition in this now? I have something, or I have an ambition, she helped me to push. I have this business plan, I have this sporting, these ideas. Can you help me push it a little bit? Which is where relationships are supposed to be anchored upon joint growth. And Bible says iron sharpeneth iron, so shall brother sharpen the countenance of his brother, which is also the base of relationship. If she didn't do this, which is why I buy Laxis, sorry, let me use the official name, Laxis idea of where is it that this person is going to. If you could deceive as long as possible, what else do you want us to do? Maybe that's another topic for another day entirely.
Yes, probably. Today's topic is specifically on swindlers.
Swindlers, because this is not a swindle issue, but has a little bit of element of swindle in it. Thank you.
No, it's not a swindle issue. Thank you. Dr. Adero, let's take your topic, and then we'll be rounding up after your.
I just wanted to understand that when it comes to relationship within the church, we need to understand that all of us are not at the same level of maturity.
Yes.
And for somebody that have not worked with Christ to a certain level, they will see some notions of how they wish to protect themselves. It doesn't really make them bad. It just their level of sanctification is not at the level to which a more mature person is. So we need to understand that, so that sometimes when some people act in certain ways, we don't condemn them. So for me, I just feel that the whole story about the example that was used of the lady who has to leave the man, we don't know to what extent, how long she has been a Christian, how long did they courted even before they married. So these are not there, we don't know. So, and she might, like everybody has said, she might have experienced some very difficult challenges in the past that we don't know about. But whatever it is, we need to understand that all of us are not at the same level of understanding and and maturity in Christ. So, and God doesn't reject us because of our level of maturity. No.
Yeah.
He relates with us at that level and help us to grow as we work with him. And it's even easier to grow when you probably receive Christ as a young person, not when you receive Christ when you have already probably spend a lot of your life, maybe third, 4 decades of your life before you come to know the Lord. The rate at which you understand spiritual things and flow with it will be probably be slower. Very few people actually who receive Christ when they are in their, say, 40s, 50s, really jump into it full force. Very few. So that to some extent, you will see some things in the church that seems to be like, this is not fully neat enough. But believe me sincerely, the Lord loves them and accepts them the way they are and willing to help do better. So we just need to understand that, so that we don't stand in judgment on people that God does not judge. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. We are all a work in progress. There are many things we are not proud of. And there are many things that we would cover up if we were in some circumstances or in a relationship. But we know that under normal circumstances, with the help of God, God wants us to be open to our spouses and to our intended partners as God helps us. But that is when we have been healed and we feel we already have self-love and we are in a place of acceptance. So I hope today has been a day in which we have learned more about swindlers and avoiding swindlers. I don't know whether Sister Esther has a comment for us. I'm happy to see you. Are you there, Sister Esther? Do you have any comments before we leave? Sister Esther Akinsoto, are you there? Okay, maybe she's busy. All right. So thank you so much, everybody. It's been a great time speaking on this topic. We are the Link family. If you want to join the Link family, please join us. We are still accepting people. We have people of all ages from 16 and above, married, singles, couples, singles of different variations, and we're all there to learn and get better and have healthy and healthier relationships. So you're welcome to join us. You can reach out to me after this meeting or send a message to timmysmile@yahoo.com. Thank you, Ayolade. We can see you. So as we end this meeting, we'll just say our motto. Our motto is, I live in love. Can we unmute ourselves and say it together? I live in love.
Live in love.
I stay in peace.
Stay in peace.
I shine my light.
I shine my light.
I use my power.
I use my power.
Use my power.
My power.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you so much, everybody. God bless you. Have a great week.
Have a lovely night.
Thank you
Good night,
so
everyone.
much. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lily, for joining us. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Onkuni. Thank you, Nike. Thank you, Sister Esther. God bless you.